For my project, I have made a trailer for a film that is set in the thriller genre. And with this, I have also made a poster, DVD cover, and disc print. For the plot of my trailer, I decided to go for a murder mystery. A detective is trying to solve these murders that are all linked together by a puzzle box, and he must solve the puzzle to stop the murders and to find out who the killer is, and his motive behind these killings. I decided to set this in the thriller genre because thriller films are some of my favourites, and I was mostly inspired by the research I conducted for the plot and style of my project. When it came to conducting my research, I first looked at influential directors such as James Wan, Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese. I wrote a mini bio about each director, and I focused on 3 of their films and did a small analysis of each, focusing on filming techniques and the style of the films. Then for my theory research, I focused on important areas that will help me with my project, such as genre theory and narrative theory. I found narrative theory in particular contributed a lot to helping me write my script. I found how I could present my characters as well as the structure to do it in. For my trailer research, I looked at the Saw trailer and the Shutter Island trailer. And for my poster research, I looked at the Get Out poster and the Silence of the Lambs poster. I found that researching these existing products has been a big influence on my own project, especially the Silence of the Lambs poster and the Shutter Island trailer. I then conducted some secondary audience research, looking at psychographics and social gradings on my existing products. I did this because my trailer is very similar to the products I have researched, so their audience would be very similar to my target audience. I then made a survey for my primary audience, and they gave me some great feedback on what they look for in a thriller film and how I can specifically appeal to them. When it came to the production of my trailer, I filmed the majority of it at my house. I only had 3 people starring in it, the main character being the detective, the cop at the beginning of the trailer, and then the dead bodies. For my opening scene, I did film near the River Ouse. I found a quiet spot that we won't get interrupted in by pedestrians, and for the rest of my trailer we mainly filmed either in my garden, kitchen and office. For the mise en scène in my trailer, I wanted to reflect the personalities of my characters from the clothes they wear. For example, in comparison the cop shown at the beginning of my trailer, she has a neat white shirt on and a black jacket. I wanted the protagonist to come across as the opposite to this to show that the cop is more new and innocent to the job, whereas the detective has been at the job for a while. I also wanted this to show that he doesn't have a good moral complex, he's much more of a grey character. There is also a scene in my trailer where the detective is trying to rub the blood off his hands. I wanted this to reflect the scene in Macbeth, where Lady Macbeth is trying to wash the blood off her hands, but it's more her slowly going insane as the blood reflects the guilt she has. This is similar to what's happening in the scene in my trailer. It also has more mystery to it as it hints that maybe he has a part in the murders. When it came to editing, I had a few issues to overcome. The main issues being the audio, because I have a soundtrack and voiceover. When the soundtrack gets intense, it was hard to hear what the villain was saying. When I turned the volume down on the section of my soundtrack, it didn't match the volume of the rest of my soundtrack and didn't really sound very smooth. I then tried to turn the volume down on the whole soundtrack and I found it was way too quiet on some parts. I then just experimented for a while on adjusting the volume on that specific section, and eventually I managed it. It didn't turn out as smooth as I would have liked, the transition between the volume changed, but it sounded a lot better than it did before. When I was making my DVD cover, poster and disc print, I didn't really come across many issues with making this. For the colour scheme, I did go for a black and white style and look, inspired by the Silence of the Lambs poster. For my DVD cover, I did keep the entire cover black and white, but for my poster and disc print, I added some red smoke so that a little bit of colour stands out against the black and white and makes it noticeable to the audience. The red smoke I used in my poster could also symbolise death and darkness. As you can see in the poster, it's creeping up its body, so it could show he's been consumed by all the death and murders. Overall, with the project I have made as a whole, I do believe I have appealed to my target audience. From the primary research I have conducted, I took my audience responses and applied it as much as I could to my own project. I believe the tones and themes of both my trailer and covers reflects the thriller genre well and fits with that genre. and overall I think my production of my project had gone very well. Despite a few problems, I managed to overcome them due to my planning and management. I am very happy with how my overall project has turned out, and I think my audience will like it as well.